Thought I was cleaning crime scenes for the past 2 years. I just found out what I was actually doing. Our job is simple, make it look like nothing ever happened. Blood, pee, poop, saliva, and every other bodily fluid that is produced during a crime is removed with highly specialized equipment. We got paid extremely well and we were specifically told to keep everything top secret. I just never understood the horrifying reason why we protect ourselves. Of course the hazmat style suits we wear are practically impenetrable, along with gloves and proper foot protection. The company I work for is very small. And by small I mean 3 people. 3 people. My partner Zeke, my boss Jimmy Wayne Folsom and myself. My name is Lamont Jones. No nickname, just Lamont. My boss says the reason he runs a 2-person show is because it ensures that we get paid as much as possible. But I was always suspicious that there might be a different reason behind why we stay so private. I'm not going to complain though. The paychecks have been really good and paid for the last 2 years of my college education and gave me something to put on my job history. The cleanup jobs have been pretty standard recently. Wednesday we had a cell phone alive that didn't require much work, just replacing carpet, cleaning the walls and removing a queen-size bed. I missed Thursday because of an interview I had at a coroner's office. As much as I love this job, something always seemed off, so I applied to some other jobs just in case. The interview seemed to go very well. I showed up early and had to sit in the family conference room before the coroner came and retrieved me herself. She asked me if I liked my job, which I replied to vaguely saying that it has paid the bills and I don't mind doing it. She went through some of the horror stories they see every day and assumed I could handle it. She asked very little of my education. It was mainly questions about dependability and gore tolerance. She gave me a tour of the facility and showed me her current case. It was a young woman who had been found in a drainage canal in the district. I vaguely knew where she was talking about because Mr. Folsom lives over that way. She told me there had been several cases of missing women as of late, and of course they end up here when they are found. I was told Human Resources would contact me within 2 weeks if I'd been selected for the position. I still haven't heard anything, but it's only been 4 days. On Friday, I helped Zeke finish the job he had started the day before. It was a stabbing. I always hated working a job where an inappropriate assault took place. It gives me really bad vibes knowing someone was taken advantage of in the very room I am standing in for some reason. Murder, kidnapping, and all of that doesn't bother me as much as Sai. Yes. Being raised by a single mom who dated plenty of creeps just makes me feel especially empathetic to those victims. Prior to starting this job, I didn't know how much SA really happened, but we work a huge number of cases where it's involved. That brings us to today. This morning, Mr. Folsom called and told me the location of today's job. It was a woman who had been strangled and once again inappropriately assaulted. There wasn't much to clean. Just remove some furniture, remove potential areas of DNA, and perform a general cleaning. While Zeke and I are out in the driveway housing off an area rug, an older, bespectacled lady approached us. "Hi. Is everything all right here? My name is Dorothea Vaughn. I'm Leslie's neighbor." The woman adjusted her glasses to take a better look at us. "Oh, yeah, we work for Crime Scene Solutions. We're here cleaning up," I said, holding the hose to the side so she wouldn't get wet. "Oh, dear. What happened? Is Leslie all right? I just saw her the other night." The woman craned her neck to look towards the front door and placed her hand over her chest. I glanced at Zeke, who just looked down while taking the host from me. "Ma'am, I really hate to tell you this, but your neighbor Leslie is dead. I'm sorry." A look of horrible sadness came over the woman's face as she removed her glasses and pressed one hand to her eye to stifle tears. "Was it an accident or did somebody?" She trailed off, not wanting to think of something that horrible happening to her friend. "We aren't told all the details, ma'am. I think it would be better if you call the local police department. I can give you their number." I started to pull out my phone to give her the city PDS number when she waved her hand to stop me. "I'll just ask them when they get here. When I saw you out here going in and out of Leslie's house, I called the police. I'm so sorry. Sometimes I guess I can be a nosy old lady, but Leslie is such a sweet young girl that I wanted to make sure she was alright." I tried not to act agitated. It's no big deal for the police to come by here, but Zeke and I were almost done and he had to go pick up his daughter from school. Before I could say anything, I saw a cruiser slowly pulling up to the curb. Mrs. Vaughn called out to the officer and announced that she was the one who called. She said she had made a mistake, took a somber look back at the house, and went back inside her own home. I greeted the officer and told him what we were doing, assuming he hadn't already figured it out. The officer, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a crew cut, looked decidedly. "I didn't hear about this one," he said while reaching for the radio on his right shoulder. "Dispatch, can you tell me anything about an assault/abduction on Renner Wednesday night?" The officer started looking down and shifting his foot into the cement as he waited. "We have no report of any calls Wednesday. Are you sure about the street?" A confused, worried look across the officer's face. "Dispatch, check with County PD, over." The voice returned within seconds, "Already checked. Not even a traffic ticket or faulty home security alarm call that night." "Over." Greatly confused, I shot a look at Zeke who had frozen. Wrapping up the hose, I reiterated to the officer the name of the victim and our company name while he was already calling for backup. It turns out Leslie Knapp, the missing woman, was indeed missing. She hadn't been seen the past 2 days prior to our work order. The problem was, the police had not been notified of her disappearance or a crime taking place at her home. Our boss, well, my former boss, Jimmy Wayne Folsom, had been a very successful serial murderer. However, things were not as simple as handing Folsom over to the police. We tried contacting him after our encounter with the officer, but unsurprisingly, there was no answer. His house was vacant, completely cleaned out as if he had never lived there. He was gone, vanished into thin air, leaving no trace behind. It was as if he'd known that this day was coming and had prepared for it as we went through the cases we had worked on. The sheer number of victims shook me. Each location, a place where an innocent life was brutally ended. I thought I was cleaning up the aftermath, making things right in my own little way, but in reality, I was helping him covering his tracks. The next day, the police showed up at my doorstep. They had a lot of questions they asked about Folsom, about the job, how we got the work orders, every detail they could squeeze out. I answered as truthfully as I could. My mind still in a haze, still trying to process everything. Meanwhile, Zeke wasn't handling the situation too well. He had a daughter, and this whole thing was hitting him hard. His face was pale, eyes wide and vacant. The realization that we had been aiding and abetting a serial murderer was a hard pill to swallow. The guilt was eating at him. After hours of questioning, the police left, but not before giving us a stern warning to not leave town. Zeke went home, and I was left alone with my thoughts. My phone buzzed, breaking the silence of the room. It was a text from an unknown number. I opened it and a chill ran down my spine. The message read, "Well done, Lamont. You've been a great help. Best of luck with your new job." I was left frozen, staring at the screen. The message was from Folsom. He was watching. I just hope I won't be his next victim.